American Timelines is a member of the Queen City Podcast Network, powered by Ortho Carolina. Find out more at queencitypodcastnetwork.com.
So now I'm obsessed with time. Come on, tell me about the time. Had it all in my hand tonight. Had the time of my life. When the words all come down like blues on Tuesday.
Welcome to another episode of
American
Timelines. I'm Amy and that's Joe.
And we are History for Jerks, and welcome to a new season, Season 5.
Oh my God.
We're jumping into the 50s on American Timelines,
Yeah.
and we promised you we would switch things up.
That's right.
We're going to add a new wrinkle, not a penis wrinkle, but we're going to add two wrinkles, actually, this episode. We have guests.
Yes.
We've lined up a guest, and not against their will. They are here willingly.
That's right.
Yes. Please welcome our first guest. Well, not our first guest. We've had guests randomly, sporadically. But our first, no offense to the previous guest, but our first guests that matter. Please welcome from the music video podcast, Ryan and Chris.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey guys.
Hi, guys. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us. I love that you made a promise. You promised you would make changes.
Yeah. I pretty much promise that every episode.
Yeah.
I promise it'll get good soon. It'll stop being terrible. We'll get better. We needed changes. We need a little spice, and you guys are the spice for this episode. We'll see if you guys can spice it up. So these guys are zooming in from Chicago. So if the audio is bad, blame them. Can you guys want to give us a quick overview of your podcast?
Sure.
What's the deal?
Yeah,
with it?
we're it's the music video podcast. We didn't know what else to call it.
It
but
is pretty much what it's. It's
That's
actually
what it
it's a
is, yeah.
podcast about biology.
Yeah,
I expect by the name.
yeah. We're sort of going through the history of music videos through like genres and artists and cliches, and tacking it from all sides. I would say
Love it.
weekly,
Yes,
but
and
semi-regularly.
Yeah, it's hard now, especially there's a pandemic. But Chris and Ryan are both improv performers.
That is
Right?
allegedly true.
Would you say actors also? Or?
Wow.
I would not call myself an actor. No.
Writers.
Writers,
improvisers.
comedy
yeah.
writers.
We have an improv show Wednesday, actually, this coming Wednesday.
When
This
does
coming
come out?
Wednesday,
Will it
so
come out
that-
before that?
No, it
I
won't. It won't be the Wednesday
think-
of anybody listening to this.
It might. I think it'll be out this Wednesday.
Wow.
So,
So it's
What
tonight.
time?
Yeah.
yeah. So tonight, I usually get them out like late Tuesday, early
Yeah.
Wednesday. Yeah, I think I can, unless there's a unforeseen circumstance.
No
So
rush.
so the date you're so it's November 11th, Veterans Day. You have a show.
Don't quote me. We have one coming up sometime. It may be.
You're not
yeah,
even
it's
sure?
being recorded.
Yeah, I'm just realizing we maybe can't plug this with Definity.
Yeah, I think it's being
Is that a word?
recorded.
With
Okay.
definition.
I'm sorry.
Can you tell us what improv group to watch out for on the interwebs?
It's through a company called Logan Square Improv. They have a theater here in town, and they are filming what they are planning to do, if I understand correctly, is they are doing like variety show style. So they are filming improv groups and teams doing like extra long sets, and then they are cutting their scenes into shows that include other people and releasing them one at
cool.
a time.
Oh, that's cool.
And are they going to be on their website? Or Logan Square
Probably they
Improv's
probably have like
website
a
or something?
Twitch channel or a YouTube or a I don't know.
YouTube. Man,
I don't know what.
I got to get with
I
the
know.
times. Do you know what a Twitch is?
No, I don't know what a
I
Twitch
thought
is.
a Twitch and a Switch were the same thing. I'm just
No,
finding
it-
out. You're not talking about a Nintendo.
No,
thing.
Twitch is like
It's
a
Twitch.
streaming channel where I can watch you playing video games, and I see
Yes,
you
that-
and
oh,
your
yeah.
video screen, your monitor at the same time, so I can watch what
Okay,
you're
so-
doing. And then people also do those
So-
now with like music and comedy.
Oh, but it's not music and comedy while you're watching somebody play a game.
No, I
Like,
think
it's not
a
like-
funny person can do it.
Yeah.
Because I'll watch my son watches these videos, and it'll be a guy talking about a story that has nothing to do with the game. Like he's killing people on Call of Duty, and then he's talking about the pizza guy that came over and embarrassed his mom or whatever, and he's telling this story. I'm like, what does the video have to do with the audio? It's like nothing. They have nothing to do with
We
each
have
other.
a
Why are you watching?
Yeah.
I don't get it. I don't
we
get
have a
it.
friend who has a
Mm.
Twitch stream, and she has like 3,000 followers and started selling merch. She sells T-shirts
Oh my
for
God.
her channel and herself now, and people.
Yeah, that's
Love
what
it.
that's what the new world is. We all just will sell
Mm-hmm.
ourselves and our lives and our personas.
I like
Anyway,
how
that's enough about
I like
that.
how you
Oh,
you were
what's that?
saying that off mic, but you turned to me even closer to the mic to tell me who it was you were talking about.
Well,
So that's Ryan. Chris was the one who said that last thing, and Ryan was
I'm
the
Chris.
other one. Like,
I'm Chris. If you can't tell by voice, Ryan has a better podcast voice than I do, and I'm just here trying my best.
Excellent. Who is your favorite 1950s vice president?
That is a
I'm
gotcha
just
question.
I'm just kidding. They just told me not to ask him a gotcha question.
I-
Yes.
There were no vice presidents in the 1950s.
nice
Nice
try.
They
try.
didn't even happen. Boom. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So without further ado, we're gonna just jump in, and guys, feel free to just pipe in whenever. Like, you're never rudely interrupting. You're never, whatever you want to say, whenever you want to say it is completely fine. Nobody gets upset here, except Amy and I, maybe at each other. And so we're just gonna start off with 1950. We're starting in January, and I usually start off the New Year's with some things that are just random things about the year that don't really fit into a date. So I just kind of,
Whoa.
what was that?
Is that our
What
train?
is that noise?
Are you hearing the train?
Oh, you
Oh,
got a train.
jeez.
You guys might
I'm
have
so
train.
sorry.
Great.
Holy crap.
That's
we
that's
live
great.
under the
I love it.
CTA Brown Line.
Wait, can you hear that?
Oh my
So
God.
we are
really?
also
Oh,
hearing
so
what
you're
sounds
hearing
like a squirrel, a chirping, a chattering, and we don't know what it is. That's why we were looking around the room.
That's great. See, I don't hear that, but I heard the train go by, and that's cool because, when you hear our podcast, you'll hear the air conditioning because it's like 80 degrees here in November. And
I don't think you'll be able to hear it on
All right.
mic.
Yeah, you may just hear it from our Zoom in the room.
You might just be hearing it right now because of Zooms.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's true. You're right. So anyway, hopefully I don't have to cut this out. Anyway, as I was saying, there's some things from 1950 that don't really fit in the year that just I'm going to tell you about that happened in 1950. And
Okay.
We do this every year. Okay. Marion Donovan invented disposable diapers.
Thank
Wow.
God. Oh my God.
I did not know disposable diapers were around in 1950.
I bet they weren't that great.
Oh, I bet no. Because they still had to have safety pins, probably, right?
Yeah. Oh, sure. Yeah.
And disposable. They're probably just cloth that everybody just threw away. Cheap
yeah.
cloth or something. Minute rice appeared on the shelves for the first time.
All right.
Minute rice.
Impossible to calculate how many minutes that saved.
Yeah, really.
Here's some crazy things. 7-Up originally contained lithium citrate, a mood stabilizing drug. It was in the product until 1950. They stopped putting that in 7-Up. in
Darn.
1950.
I would love 7-Up if
Yeah,
it
I would
made
love
me
all
happy.
of the drugged out versions of sodas.
When I was a little kid up vomiting in the night, a 7-Up with like extra mood stabilizers would have been like just what the doctor asked
yeah,
for.
Xanax 7-Up.
Yeah.
For a sick kid.
Put it in saltines.
Genius.
You were born in the wrong era. Yes. Because
used to have Coke.
Also,
Yeah.
you know what else you could get? There was a toy lab set in 1950 called the Gilbert U-238 Atomic Energy Lab. Atomic
my
Energy
God.
Laboratory. It contained uranium ore,
Oh my God.
polonium, a Geiger counter, and a cloud chamber
Oh my.
for children. That's real.
We watched a YouTube video about a chemistry set that was sold to kids, but it was literally just a bomb. It was
It may have been this.
it was literally just you
I think it's-
you add little powders together and then it blows up. But if you add too much of them, it
Yeah.
really blows up. It blew up people
yeah.
bodies and homes.
I think that's what this might have been. So there's a YouTube commercial. You saw a commercial about it?
Yeah, we saw it, well, it was like a expose. It was a real
Ooh, okay.
Dateline type of a show.
Yeah, this might have been it. And then so now we're in the crazy health things. Kent was a major tobacco company in 1950.
Sure.
It sold unique cigarette filters in the 50s and advertised their health benefits. The advertised ingredient that set them apart? Asbestos.
Yeah, I've heard that.
You've heard that?
That asbestos is in filters, yeah.
And then they advertise it as a special ingredient.
Now, is that the first time they had filtered cigarettes, or is it just a different kind of
Or
filter?
was it just a filter that you bought on its own to put in your cigarettes?
Yeah, they had a unique, filter. I think it's filters. Like you had a filter, you probably put your cigarette in the filter. They probably weren't attached. I don't know.
Yeah, I would say.
I didn't do that
would-
much research on that.
Okay.
I apologize. to
Well, you
everyone.
failed.
I failed. I'm a terrible person. Did you know, speaking of cigarettes, did you know that the type AB personality theory was actually invented by the cigarette industry in the 50s?
To like advertise it?
Really?
To prove that coronary heart disease and cancer were risks related to a high-stress personality instead of tobacco use.
Oh my God. So I wonder if it's real or if that's like junk science, AB personality stuff.
I think it's generally kind of debunked.
Really?
Like, most of it's debunked. I think we all know there's people that are
Yeah, more wound up
just
than others.
wound up, and I think I don't know if it's your personality.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know anything about this. I didn't really look into this. I'm just guessing there's assholes,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Not that everybody who's a type A is an asshole necessarily.
And also, I've known some like lovely smokers.
I know some lovely smokers now. I love the train. Okay, the first metal lunchbox was produced by Aladdin in 1950. That was the company. Do anybody want to take a quick guess at what character was on the first metal lunchbox in 1950?
Was it a character for children?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, who else would it be?
Wait a minute. I don't know.
A character.
I just
for
realized
adults?
Because,
I said yes
It's a
immediately.
lunchbox
I don't know.
for children.
I might.
Of course
It might
it's
not
gonna
be.
for children.
no, because sometimes children's lunchboxes would have like movie cowboys and stuff on it, like things that
Yeah,
would
but
Yeah,
that's
that's
not
not
for
seem to
children.
be for children. Like if it was
No,
John
yeah, no,
Wayne
you're
or
right.
something.
Yes, you're right. You're actually. I think you're right. I don't think this was for children. I think I was getting this person mixed up with a children's character. now that I
Oh
think about it.
man.
So I think Ryan's more onto it, like movie cowboy type of guy. I don't think it's for children.
Because I would have
necessarily,
guessed
but
maybe
kids-
Howdy Doody.
Yeah, Howdy Doody is who I was.
Howdy Doody
who I
seems
was
too late
good-
for 1950.
Yeah, maybe so. Nobody had. Yeah.
Yeah, this is embarrassingly who I was picturing with this name,
Oh no.
but it's not Howdy Doody. It's not even a. It's more of a John Wayne cowboy guy.
I don't know.
Is there somebody who played Daniel Boone? I feel like I picture little boys then with coonskin caps.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's along that lines. I know I looked this guy up.
Well, who is it?
Hop Along Cassidy.
I've never heard those words
Isn't
in
that
that
a
combination before.
Hop Along Cassidy. Isn't that like
I
a?
never heard those words.
Oh, I'm glad I'm not the only one. Like I think he's a cowboy. Like he's
I
got
think
a
he is,
John
yeah.
Wayne or something.
It sounds
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah, so Ryan
like
was-
a Western figure.
Yeah, it's real close to like Get
Yeah.
Along Little Doggy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I don't know why I was thinking Howdy Doody. Like it's like all stupid
Mm-hmm.
sounding. I don't know. Did you know that after the Empire State Building opened in New York City in 1931, much of its office space went unrented? It was nicknamed the Empty State Building because it didn't become profitable until 1950.
Okay.
That's
I was wondering where the 1950 was going to fall into this.
Yeah.
yeah, I know. I was like, I don't know. I don't know why I kept that in there. Sometimes I keep things.
No,
in,
that's
I'm
great.
Like, oh,
I like a
Interesting.
business to succeed.
Does
So I'm,
was King Kong is on the Empire State Building, right?
Yes.
I would have thought that would
It
have
is an
rented
Empire.
like every floor. I would have thought people would have been like, "Oh, I gotta be in the King Kong building."
I'm gonna
Wonder-
upset some
what-
of the New Yorkers out there, but I always confuse the Empire State Building and the Chrysler Building. I know that they're different, but in my
Oh.
mind, the picture of them are the same.
Yeah.
well, you just lost all your
I
New York
know.
listeners.
Well, yeah,
Oh,
I lost
man,
them long
man.
ago.
Excuse me. Coronavirus. Did you guys know that hurricanes in America were not named until 1950?
Okay.
That year, there was Hurricane Dog, Hurricane Easy, Hurricane Jig, Hurricane Item, Hurricane Love, and Tropical Storm How.
I like Hurricane Item. Like
That's
they're
like-
really.
That's like they have been naming them forever and had run out of
that's-
names already.
They just ran out of
I
noun
know.
lists to say.
yeah. Item.
Yeah.
Object.
Item. I like Tropical Storm and How. It's
Yeah.
just called How.
What is the? Is it the
Uh,
worse they are, the further into the alphabet it is? Like the stronger the storm, the later the
I
letter.
thought they just went through them sequentially. I thought they just like did one.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Chris is right. Now they go alphabetically.
So like Hurricane
Oh, sorry.
Zelda isn't
Doing that.
scarier than Hurricane Apple.
No.
No, it just came
Okay.
later. But then
Is there a
you'll.
bat in our ducks.
I think so.
like it.
Oh my God!
So
you have
we're
a bat.
hearing on our end what you can't hear is that we are hearing the constant chirp of like a cartoon squirrel.
Yeah, like a some
Just like
kind
a
of a verb.
And we don't
Oh man.
we don't
boy.
see it, but we hear it, and we keep thinking that you can hear it, and that's why we keep pausing and looking at each other. And I'm sorry.
Oh
That's
no,
happening.
we can't. No, we can't hear it. We can't hear it.
I'm
at
gonna
all.
try to just make peace with it.
But I'm worried we're about to be attacked by a bat. It's
I don't think it.
We had one in our apartment in Bowling Green once, and it was a little tiny apartment. And like I went out, I held the door open and just stood outside for probably an hour, and finally it flew out because I was not gonna go near it.
Remember, I had to chase it.
I feel like it could be
Oh,
like
that's right.
somewhere else, and we might be hearing it.
also possible because we can hear a baby like it's right
yeah,
in here.
and we don't have a baby.
We
So
don't have a baby. But I am. it
Are you on the?
very much
Are you on the top floor?
no,
right there.
no, second. So, but we have like neighbor walls. We have neighbors.
Oh, you have
Yeah.
neighbors.
Anyway, now that I have ascertained it, definitely is in this room where we are.
Awesome.
Sorry, I just
I can hear it
It's
a little
just
bit.
Like yeah, it's
I
just
think-
like
Stop.
singing a song of.
Oh, I think I just. Did it just
Uh-huh.
do something? I think I heard it too.
Yeah,
I
it's
hear
right there.
that.
Yeah. That's so funny.
Yeah, so
I hope there's a chance it could come out and attack you and we catch it live.
I would love
on-
that.
that would definitely be a story, but I don't know.
Yeah, we're looking to get some trending, get some clicks.
Yeah, a viral
Yeah.
video of you guys running around your apartment being chased by a
Just,
bat.
Oh, I just realized
What?
I'm not. It doesn't matter, but I'm not recording that. I wasn't recording this.
Oh, I see now that you're.
I mean, I was
Right.
recording them, but I wasn't recording the Zoom. But I don't really need to. But that was my pace setter. But
Okay.
now there's no reason to. Anyway, all right, back to random things in 1950. No, that's great. I love that happened. This is real. This makes it real, baby. According to BusinessInsider.com, since 1950, there have been 32 nuclear weapon accidents known as broken arrows, and to date, there are 6 nuclear weapons that have been lost and never recovered,
Oh, great.
just throughout
like
the
in
world.
the ocean. Where do they go?
Yes, a lot of them. One of them, I read up a lot of these, and there was like one of them, the whole plane disappeared,
Oh my God.
and they never found the guy or the plane or the nuke. There was several that have like dropped and fell in the ocean somewhere, and they could never find it.
And
Yeah.
so they didn't detonate. They just.
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
6 have been lost, and nobody's been able to find them. So there's at least 6 that are out there.
Whoops.
Isn't that nuts? Like somebody's gonna come across them, and it's gonna just blow up
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
I always think, it's amazing we haven't been all nuked yet. Like,
Sorry.
okay. So I'm always thinking that all the different people that are seeking nuclear weapons, and that all the crazies that if they get one, they're just gonna kill us all. And then this hasn't helped my anxiety. There's 6 that are just sitting out somewhere.
Yeah.
And
That anybody
an
could get.
octopus has one.
Yeah, the bad guy from Iron Man could get
Could
him.
find it.
Yeah. Whataburger, Texas, and Whataburger, Virginia. Have you ever heard of Whataburger?
I've heard
anybody?
of the restaurant.
No.
I only
Yeah, so
they're
there are-
Texas, right? They're mostly Texas,
There's a Texas Whataburger and a Virginia
and they're
Whataburger.
different.
They both opened in 1950 without knowledge of each
Wow.
other's existence.
Oh, what kind of
Yes.
coincidence is that?
There was a trademark infringement issue in the early 2000s, but both kept their names. And according to the Houston Chronicle, it wasn't until 1970 that the two chains even discovered the existence of each other. And they hashed out some things, and went to court, and they made an agreement that they can
Okay.
both exist separately.
Well, isn't that nice?
Yes. But they've kind of they've kind of expanded. Like, I think the Texas one got all the way to Georgia, and the Virginia one got all the way down to North Carolina. So I think they're like getting close to each other, but I'm not. Don't quote me on that.
Okay.
People from Texas are very passionate about Whataburger. If you, they really are. Like it's like how people on the West Coast are about In-N-Out.
Oh,
yeah.
really?
Oh yeah, I'm sure they are. Yeah. Oh, people in North Carolina are nuts about Bojangles. It's like a chain with chicken. They like.
It's like a KFC.
Yeah, and they're everywhere. There's 100 of them. I mean, 100 of them on every block. I mean, there's a million of them. But I didn't know what they were, and I asked the lady for directions when I first moved here. She's like, "Go to the Bojangles, make a left." And I was like, what's a Bojangles? Like, what's a Bojangles? Like, what are you saying? Is it a vehicle that I'm looking out for? What is a Bojangle? Like, is it a?
Mm-hmm.
She's like, "You don't know what a Bojangles is? Pfft, only the Lord can help you." And she kind of walked off.
Oh my God.
And so I never got my directions because I didn't know what Bojangles was.
All right. What's next?
Anyway, Corn Pops. Did you know that Corn Pops were originally named Corn Pops in 1950? And then it became Sugar Pops in 1951.
I remember when it was Sugar Pops. I feel like I remember that.
And then they become Sugar Corn Pops in 1978.
That's when we found out that corn was basically sugar.
Yeah.
It's basically the same thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you remember when Sugar Smacks and Sugar Crisp, those were sugar. It was Sugar Smacks and Sugar Crisp forever. And then in the 80s, I think they changed them to Honey Smacks and Golden Crisp or whatever.
Oh, that's correct.
But
because I grew up.
it's basically,
with Honey Smacks and Golden Crisp. That's true.
Honey Smacks. It's got the frog.
Because they
on it.
wanted to get rid of the sugar name because it's negative.
Oh, take the sugar out.
Well, they didn't
But
take
it's
the
the same
sugar
basic
out.
Still
cereal.
had
But yeah, they
sugar.
didn't call it that.
Plenty of sugar.
No, you don't take the sugar out. Take the name of the sugar.
That's
Yeah,
so
sir,
funny.
that's right.
That
Do
it
they
was
still
never
have either
sold
of
that
those
way in the
cereals
first place.
anymore?
Corn Pops for sure. I
They
think.
definitely have Corn Pops, but
Yeah.
but Sugar or Honey Smacks and Golden or Sugar Crisp.
Well, since 1984, it was Corn Pops again.
Okay.
Except for a brief time in 2006 when they were just Pops. Gotta have my Pops.
They-
Remember that?
Yes.
They're just gonna keep trying. They're gonna keep like feeling it out.
Corn Pops are
Yeah.
Every couple
Pops
years,
are
they
Corn
take the
Pops.
temperature and they see
Are they supposed to taste like popcorn? Is that the idea?
maybe.
I don't know.
These are the gold
just-
Yeah.
nugget looking
Yeah,
things,
They're
right?
really
Yeah.
good. It's one of my favorite cereals.
I think they're only good dry.
Oh, I disagree.
I feel like they
but you
get
think
like
that way about all
slimy. They get like
cereals.
They get kind of
silky.
slimy.
I'm on Chris's side here. They gotta have milk in them. They're way better. Like it's like they're okay dry, but wet.
I feel like that's the full.
I don't know.
cereal
You got
Wet.
you could be
Yeah, if I'm
I like it wet.
in like cat terms, I'm a dry food. I don't want a wet food. I don't like a wet food.
If I Ran the Zoo by Dr. Seuss was published in 1950. Have you ever heard of that book? If I Ran the
I
Zoo.
don't think so.
I feel like I have.
Well, this one is famous because it is the first recorded ever instance of the word nerd.
Really?
Yes. You know how he's got all those characters with names? He had a Nurgle, a nerd, and a seersucker on the same page.
Okay.
And nerd stuck for some reason and became
Yeah.
a thing. We called
Was
people.
nerd? Was it used in the same context that we use nerd now?
No, you know how like Dr. Seuss will just name
Yeah.
random a who's it, a what's it, a what
yeah,
not,
yeah.
or whatever. I think it's just a page. You can look up the page, and it's just three monster
okay,
looking
so
things. I do think the nerd had maybe
The glasses?
glasses on. Let me look it back up again.
Well, and
to verify
there's
that
something
important
in,
thing.
and this is probably coming up on your podcast, is the rise of the teenager in pop culture happens in like the late 50s or early 60s, and before then you just had like kids and adults, and everybody got married at 16. But then that thing of
Yeah,
like
that's true.
teenagers having music and movies and things just for them would line up with them reading this as a kid. Just pulled my thing.
Yeah, oh
out.
yeah, you're probably right.
Careful.
I'll show you guys on the Zoom real quick. Whoops, where did it go? Where did it go? There it is.
Oh no,
That's the nerd. Can you see
Oh.
it?
that looks like a bully to me. That doesn't
Yeah,
look
that
like
does
a
look
nerd.
like a nerd.
Yeah.
He looks mean.
Yeah, he doesn't look nerdy at all. I thought he had glasses, but he just looks like an asshole. Maybe a nerd was originally
We
an
should
asshole.
reclaim that.
And then it evolved in a way. Well, who cares about the White House was renovated
Oh, nobody
in
cares.
1950. You guys don't care about that.
I love renovation.
Yeah, flip
you
that
love it.
house. Need to just like
Okay, really quick, I'm going to tell you that
open
instead
floor
of-
plan.
Yeah.
So a lot of times on American Timelines, we would normally, like, I will call back to television shows that were on and what episodes, but things were a lot different. It was more like theater. TV was more like theater. It would just be like
Yeah, the curtain
a
and
show presents, and it'd be like a drama or whatever. So I'm just going to tell you guys the top 5 Nielsen shows
okay.
and what they were and what was behind them. The number 1 show in 1950 was called Texaco Star Theater on NBC. It was an American comedy variety show broadcast on radio from 38 to 49 and telecast on TV from 48 to 56. It was one of the first successful examples of American television broadcasting, remembered as the show that gave Milton Berle the nickname Mr. Television. So this would eventually evolve into, it was called Texaco, was their sponsor. They would just name the show after whoever the sponsor was.
Right.
It ended up becoming the Milton Berle Show.
Okay.
So in 1950, it was called that. The second rated show was Fireside Theater, a.k.a. Jane Wyman Presents.
Oh.
It was an American anthology drama series that ran on NBC from 49 to 58, and it was the first successful film series on American television. Productions were low budget and often based on public domain stories and written by freelance writers such as Rod Serling.
Huh.
Okay.
And then eventually, I think that evolved into the Jane Wyman Show.
These have
Mm-hmm.
such similar descriptions.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all kind of.
Are they
yeah.
all the same? Are they all that?
I think so. Yeah, the Philco TV Playhouse.
We don't have to describe each one.
Became So, and the Colgate Comedy Hour was number 5.
People were just figuring out,
I don't know.
Getting TVs and like what would they watch.
Yeah, and like the Colgate Comedy Hour became Ed Sullivan. They became later like the
A different
history
thing.
of television is all that. So yeah, so I think that's their thing. Everything was just called the commercial. I think they should get back to that.
No.
I guess they kind of. The college sports bowls are called the Tostitos Bowl and stuff like that.
Maybe.
All right, and then now we're jumping right into calendars. We're jumping all the way to January 6th, 1950,
Okay.
which was a Friday.
Okay.
All right,
Yeah.
you guys ready?
Yeah.
So about that White House renovation that I just kind of mentioned briefly, and these guys love renovation
Yeah.
so much
Mm-hmm.
that workmen renovating the White House found a small marble box that had been buried underneath a floor slab commemorating the last renovation. The box contained 3 Washington, D.C. newspapers, 27 cents, and the label from a bottle of Maryland rye whiskey. It had apparently been placed there on December 2nd, 1902.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so 48 years. So President Truman ordered that the contents, along with the current newspapers, be sealed up again and that the box be reburied somewhere in the reconstruction now going on.
Oh, so I wonder if they ever found it again.
I don't know. But Trump probably is going to take that with him.
Yeah, he can just take whatever he wants as long as he gets out.
Yeah, get the hell out of here. He's never going. I really wanted that box to have something else, like
Yeah, something cool
Yeah.
or something spooky,
a thumb.
like a doll.
A doll.
Or just something
doll.
mysterious.
Yeah.
Like if it had like
Yeah.
a note written in a language that no one could read.
Yeah.
Ooh, that'd be good.
Let's just say that was in there.
Yeah.
That was in there
It
too.
makes it much
Yeah.
better.
That's way more exciting. Okay, here's a long one, kind of a longer one. I know everything's been a little short,
Yeah.
but this, I hope you guys like disasters.
Love them.
Because
I'm
this one is
presently.
this one is very gruesome. Saturday, January 7th, 1950. I got this from gendisasters.com. In Davenport, Iowa, a hospital fire killed 37 people. And it wasn't just a hospital, it was a mental hospital.
Oh no.
Yes.
I bet that's haunted.
It's got to be. All of the dead were women.
Oh, no.
31 women were known to have died, and 6 others were presumed dead in a fire which swept a mental hospital. 10 hours after the blaze started, coroner C.H. Wildman said the bodies of 31 women had been recovered, and 6 other patients were missing and almost certain to be dead in the ruins. Now, from GenDisasters.com, they actually print articles straight from the newspapers back then.
Yeah.
And there's something in here that we'll get to that I love that they used to always do.
Mm-hmm.
They would always print they would look up information on anybody who was a witness and print where they live and who they live,
know.
who they
Their
live
address
with.
and everything,
And
yeah.
their address and who they live
Yep.
with. It's crazy. So we'll get to that. So from this article, the Sister Superior of the hospital said 31 other patients had been treated for burns or injuries, accounting for the 65 women and 3 men known to have been in the building. The path to safety for many of the patients was blocked by barred windows.
Oh, yeah.
Except for a nurse's aide, all the dead and missing were patients. They were asleep in the
So the staff got the hell out of there.
Yep, yeah, pretty much. And we'll tell you how. They were asleep in the 3-story St. Elizabeth's Ward building of Mercy Hospital when the flames broke out at 2 a.m. The fire was brought under control in a 4-hour battle. The flames spread rapidly through the 60-year-old brick structure, one of 4 buildings of the hospital. Screams of the trapped women spread the alarm. Aid was sent at once from the nearby 5-story main Mercy Hospital building, and 14 fire companies came immediately. As the flames swept upward, the scene became one of horror. The women patients, many of them infirm of both body and mind, beat against the barred windows and screamed in terror.
Oh, my God.
Some fainted away in the smoke and flame. A white-robed nun stood outside the blaze, weeping bitterly. Her arms held blankets which firemen took to cover the bodies as they were removed. Catholic chaplains moved shadow-like along their solemn duties as the flames outlined their figures. Some of the rescued fought to return to the burning ward. They wanted to go back for little things, pictures, shoes, a coat. Some of them were like distressed and mentally insane, and you had to fight them from going back in. There were heroic rescues. Firemen hacked away at window bars while flames licked at their ladders. A policeman called for hose lines to drench him with water. He disappeared through a window, returning with a woman in his arms. 3 male patients escaped, 2 by leaping from an unbarred window on the second floor. Fire Chief Lester Schick said the fire apparently started in a second-floor room on the east side of the building. Sister Mary Annunziata, the hospital superior, told a reporter it was possible someone had been smoking a cigarette and dropped it on some inflammable material. Hours after the fire was extinguished, firemen worked at carrying out melted iron beds, still flaming mattresses, and other smoldering debris. Wow. Bodies were removed in white rubber-sheeted bags. The hospital was administered by Sisters of Mercy, a Catholic order. It was established in 1868. The place then became a temporary morgue. Many of the bodies were burned beyond recognition.
Wow.
Flames from the burning building reddened the sky over the Mississippi River City. Police officers held back the crowds which pressed against their lines. Some of the survivors were stretcher cases. In all, firemen said that 25 or 30 people were removed from the blazing ward. Miss Josephine O'Toole of Davenport, a nurse's aide, was a survivor. She said she was awakened by the screams of patients while asleep in a room on the 3rd floor. I threw open a window but saw nothing unusual and decided to go back to bed, Miss O'Toole said.
Even though there's people screaming?
Yes, yeah. They probably were screaming all the time.
Oh, that's true.
If it's a mental
that's true.
institution. No offense to those listening from a mental
Well, I mean, I don't want to stereotype 1950s mental health institutions, but I don't know if all those women needed to be institutionalized. I think they maybe just literally needed to be listened to for a couple hours. Like, can they, can we get them some like personal agency to just like,
that's right.
Yes.
Let them let these ladies buy a vibrator and get a job, and
that's right.
let them have
right.
more voting power. I bet they weren't as hysterical as they've been diagnosed. Rest in peace and all. It's easy for me to say from now, but I bet a lot of them were in fine health.
I mean, most of them were old. Like, it went through the ages of them. They were like in their 90s and stuff. So I think they probably just lumped old people in with insane people. And didn't they used to? I mean, we all know stories of women in that era who were pregnant, like a teenage pregnant person. They would go away.
Would just send them away.
They go to halfway houses. Yeah.
They'd send them away. Would it be a place like this, maybe?
No, I think it was more like homes for unwed mothers.
No, they just have those.
Yeah, they did.
Oh, man. Anyway, she went back. Then she heard someone shout fire, and I opened my door and looked out into the hall. I smelled smoke and heard more screams on floors below me. I didn't know how long the fire had been burning, and I was afraid I'd be trapped. Windows are barred, so you can't get out. I didn't relish the prospect of jumping from the third floor, so I grabbed my coat, put it over my nightgown, and ran downstairs to the basement. There I was joined by Mrs. Neighbors, one of the patients, and we went out through the basement. I really don't know what time it was, but it must have been a little before 2 o'clock. Flames started to shoot up the building a short time later. She said, I guess I was one of the first out of the building. If I hadn't gone when I did, I might have been trapped like many others. Mrs. O'Toole lives with her sister, Mrs. Martin Linehan of Davenport, when not on duty. Like they just printed that in the paper.
They tell that.
She's an old maid. Anyway, the rest of it just.
I love how they
yeah.
it's only last names. Like they don't, like nowadays they would give you their full
Yeah, they
name,
don't-
but it's
they don't
only like
give
Mrs.
her
O'Toole.
first or last name. They just give like
No,
No.
they did at
Mrs. whoever your husband's name was.
No, they did at the beginning. They said Miss Josephine O'Toole
Oh,
of
okay.
Davenport.
I guess
like even
her
where she lives.
sister. Maybe it's because she wasn't married, but her sister, who she lives with, they were like just like
Yeah,
Mrs.
Yes,
Frederick.
Mrs. Martin
Yeah.
Linehan. Yeah,
That's
yeah, Mrs. Martin. Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah.
That was an insane
Yeah.
thing
She-
that people did until like somewhat recently. Like my grandma did that for
People
sure.
still do that.
Oh,
People
yeah.
still do that. Mrs.
Mrs.
You
yeah.
see in
Yeah.
obituaries,
Their full name, their husband's full name.
like in obituaries, you'll see survived by their daughter, and it'll have a name, and then in parentheses her husband's first name.
Yeah, that's
It's
right.
weird.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's always weird. They think they do the opposite too of.
Yeah, I think they
spouses,
just do that
like-
with everyone who's married.
Yeah.
now.
Okay.
Yeah,
But it probably
Yeah, sorry.
started off being like the same idea.
Yeah.
it probably did only if there was it goes into a lot more of this, and I don't know if there's more like women trying to get back in and more
That's
horror
bleak.
and awfulness. it's just very bleak, and there's not really anything that funny about it.
No, there's not.
It's a little bit like that shirt factory story.
Oh my God, the Triangle Shirtwaist
Yeah.
Factory fire. Yeah, that one's scary.
Did we talk? We talked about that?
No, it
Oh.
it happens. I think in the 40s, maybe.
It sounds familiar. I wonder why. Yeah, the triangle shirt. Yeah, that sounds familiar.
You probably heard
Okay,
it before.
this next one is a little bit more of a spooky one, and then we'll get to you. This is the last one I have
Okay.
before we jump into your
Okay.
crazy rape, whatever.
No,
it is.
there's no rape.
Okay, good. But rape free episode. We have a
Rape-free?
Rape free episode.
Rape free?
Wait a minute. There might be rape in this next one.
Oh, okay.
Let me see. This is a disappearance that I have on
Ooh.
January 14th, 1950.
Yeah.
Richard Colvin Cox, born, you don't care when he was born. He was born in 1928.
All right.
Last seen on January 14th, 1950. He was a second-year cadet who disappeared from the United States Military Academy at West Point, New York.
Mm-hmm.
He was in that month of January, he was visited by a young man whose first name may have been George. 3 times over the course of a week. On the third occasion, Cox and George left the grounds of the academy and were never seen again. According to an eyewitness account from another cadet, the 2 men seemed to have known each other somewhere other than West Point. And so I'll get into some of the details of this. But my first inkling was, thinking 1950 and how, like, we're jumping along, from 69, our
To
last episode,
50.
to 50. Like, things were archaic and different. I really think, first thing that jumped in my head was, like, he was probably gay.
Mm-hmm.
And had a partner, and you can't tell anybody.
Or
can't,
he just went AWOL.
yeah, he might have. I mean, we'll get into it. Once I read the story, I don't think that's the case.
Okay.
Like, once we get into this, it's a little more creepy. But my first thought was that because I remember I have a story my dad told me one time when, right before he died, we had a big argument about everything in politics. He was a big Rush Limbaugh guy, and I couldn't get him I couldn't understand what he had against gay marriage. I was like, just tell me. And this was in 2004, so like even we've come a long way since then.
Yeah.
And he told me his whole argument against gay guys. This is kind of my favorite stupid homophobic thing that's actually kind of funny in that his mindset. He said when he was in the Marines, and he was in the Marines
In Korea.
I'm trying to think. He was born in 39, so like 50s, late 50s, 60s, right? So he said, yeah, oh no, when I was stationed in, I want to say he was in San Francisco, one of the gays got a hold of one of our guys. They got a hold of him, and I don't think he ever did get away from them. That was his argument, and I was like, so a gay gang kidnapped one of your Marines? Like a gay gang showed up in the 50s and stole one of your Marines? Like, it was just so absurd. So my thought was the guy was probably a gay guy and finally found his people.
Yeah.
And, of course, my dad wouldn't understand that, but he couldn't say that probably then. I mean,
right.
It's so sad to think about what people had to do in those days. It's so nuts. So I assumed that was this, but now let's get into what this really is. I don't know. Do you guys have anything to say about my dad's horrible homophobia?
No, I think you covered it.
Okay, let's get to Richard. Let's get to Richard Coleman Cox. At 4:45 p.m. on Saturday, January 7th, 1950, a man telephoned Cox's West Point classmate Peter Haynes. Haynes answered the calls for the company members. He later said the caller's tone was rough and patronizing, almost insulting. After Haynes told the man Cox was not in his room, the man replied, "Well, look, when he comes in, tell him to come on down here to the hotel. Just tell him George called. He'll know who I am." Well, he'll know who I am. We knew each other in Germany. I'm just here for a little while and tell him I'd like to get him a bite to eat. Haynes later stated he could not be completely certain the name given was George.
Okay.
As he had answered many phone calls while on duty, and one didn't seem noteworthy at the time. And Cox talked about the guy to his mates, but he never called him by his name. At 5:30 p.m., a man, excuse me, I gotta drink some water.
Take care of
8 a
yourself.
day.
Hydrate.
8 of those a day.
I'm so hungover from
Last night.
Joe Biden celebratory
Yeah.
drinking. At 5:30 p.m., a man entered Grant Hall, an area where cadets could meet guests, and asked to see Cox. The cadet on duty telephoned Cox to tell him he had a visitor. The cadet later described the visitor as slightly under 6 feet, weighing around 185 pounds. Now that's about, everybody. He was fair-haired and had a. I mean, how many guys that are 6 feet, 185
Right.
pounds?
That doesn't narrow it
It's
down.
most dudes.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not. Anyway.
Right.
But he was fair-haired and a fair complexion and wore a belted trench coat.
Okay.
But no hat.
Which is
Also-
unusual.
Yes.
For
'Cause in
1950.
1950, everybody wore hats.
Yeah, that's right.
So that tells me
If you're fair complected, you got to pop a hat on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, especially if you're fair complected. I
That's
didn't
right.
think about that.
Mm-hmm.
When Cox entered the hall, he shook hands with the man. The cadet on duty later recalled he seemed glad to see him. Cox seemed glad to see him. Cox signed out in the company B2 departure book, indicating he would have dinner off campus. However, Cox later admitted to his roommates they did not dine, but they drank from a bottle of whiskey while sitting inside the man's parked car.
Okay.
Okay. Cox returned to now I'm thinking that's more something else. Maybe a love connection.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Who knows?
I've only drank whiskey in my car with people
Right.
I don't think I've ever drank whiskey in my car with anyone.
No.
Cox returned to Cadet Company B2, signed the departure book, took a shower, and slept off the effects of the alcohol. His two roommates later revealed this, and as a prank, they photographed him slumped over his desk asleep.
Mm-hmm.
Now, back then, how long would it take to get film developed?
Right.
You have to have a dark
Great
room,
question.
I think. I don't know.
Yeah, you
no idea.
mail it off.
You mail it somewhere,
Maybe.
right?
Yeah,
or something
probably.
to a lab?
Yeah.
I have no idea. Or did everyone have a dark room? I don't know.
You pop on that red bulb. You've got the clips.
At an indeterminate time that evening, Cox altered the military time he had written in the departure book, changing 1923 to 1823 to make it look as if he had attended the 6:30 p.m. cadet supper formation. In fact, he had skipped the formation. This detail was not discovered until 2 years later. If the alteration had been discovered that it was when it was fresh in January, Cox would have been charged with violating the cadet honor code and likely expelled.
Oh.
But that didn't happen. So
when does he disappear?
the next morning, before attending Sunday chapel service, Cox mentioned his visitor to his roommates. The man, Cox said, was a former U.S. Army Ranger who had served in the same unit as he had in Germany. Cox said the man liked to brag about killing Germans during the war and had boasted about cutting off their private parts afterwards.
Oh, God.
Another story he told Cox was about having gotten a German girl pregnant and then murdering her to prevent her from having a baby.
Whoa.
So this is a fucked up dude.
Yeah.
This is a weirdo.
Mm-hmm.
That afternoon, Cox signed out a second time to meet the man, returning at about 4:30 p.m. The following 6 days were without incident, and then Cox mentioned his visitor once to his roommates. He remarked that he hoped he wouldn't have to see this guy again.
Okay.
Like he's kind of
so he's not doesn't like
he's
him.
kind of saying he doesn't really want to hang out with this guy anymore. And then on Saturday, January 14th, Cox watched a basketball game between the Army and Rutgers University. Afterwards, he was seen talking to a man thought to be George.
Okay, same guy.
Although the cadet who saw the two talking gave a description that differed greatly from the description given by the cadet who had seen the stranger in Grant Hall. According to the eyewitness description from January 14th, this guy was dark-haired and rough-looking.
So it doesn't seem like the same person?
Unless he's disguised. That's the only thing I think of.
Hmm.
Or is it a different
Isn't
guy?
the first step of running away to dye one's hair, though?
In like a gas station mirror.
Yeah,
like
that's
salt.
true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
With oil. Like with
yeah,
actual,
with
like
whatever 1950s products you could find.
shoe polish, probably.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, I didn't think about that until now that we're talking about this. Okay, so Cox returned to his room and mentioned to a roommate he was signing out to dine with his visitor again. So he's kind of told people it is the same guy. Although he appeared not apprehensive, just sort of disgusted. The two men left the grounds of the academy and vanished without a trace.
Never came back.
Never came back. Now, there was some investigations.
Mm-hmm.
They drained a local pond. They looked everywhere,
Yeah.
all the areas, and had searches. Never found him. FBI became involved. Nothing. The Lusk Reservoir was dragged. The banks of the Hudson were searched. They did a manhunt and didn't find anything. But the theory that he had deliberately deserted from West Point was discounted originally because he had left behind $87 in his room.
Mm-hmm.
And in 1950,
Yeah.
$87 is equivalent to $925
Jesus.
today.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
That's nuts.
So that dude's fucking loaded.
Yeah.
What have we become?
I know. Seriously.
$87 is just like one tasteful little bag of groceries. It's just like
not even
it's just
on
not even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
It's nothing.
crazy.
It's nothing. I wiped my ass with $87 just this morning.
Sorry.
So on March 1950, he was listed as absent without leave, and he was declared legally dead in 1957. Now, in 1985, Marshall Jacobs, retired high school history teacher, performed an investigation, and then Current Affair did a segment about this mystery on one of its episodes. And one of these investigations, someone spoke to retired U.S. Coast Guard officer named Ernest J. Shotwell, who said on camera that he had had a conversation with Cox at the Washington, D.C. Greyhound lines 2 years after his disappearance. So this is a guy that knew him.
And said he
saw
saw
him 2 years later.
Okay.
And during the conversation between the two, who had been classmates at the USMA prep school at Stewart Field, they'd not seen each other since then. He didn't know he was missing even. And during the encounter at the bus station, Cox seemed uncomfortable and was vague about his plans for the immediate future.
So he just ran off.
Yeah, I think he pretty much just ran off.
Sounds like it.
But possibly with an alien.
Could be. Could be a Man in Black type situation.
Yeah. And so, yeah, for years they've searched. Nobody's found anything. There's been different searches and things.
Okay. That's pretty fascinating.
Yeah, guy's gone. Can't find him. So, Richard Cox, if you're listening to this episode of American Timelines by History for Jerks, we'd like to be the exclusive that breaks where you are. How old would he be if he was like 20-something in 1950?
No, we're not doing math.
90.
Yeah, he'd be.
He could be alive.
Could be.
No, he's not.
In his defense, on one point, when you were like, he signed out at 1900 and then he went back and changed it to 1800. I feel like if I was in the military, all of my check-ins and outs would be
all of them
corrected.
would
I
be
would be
wrong.
like, okay, wait, I'm so sorry. What is 1600 again?
18 is
Sorry, can I see that book again? I'm so sorry. It's 4:00. I did. What time is that?
Yes.
That might not be
When
a
we went to
conspiracy. That might just be like he just has like clock hours. Yeah.
he just doesn't know how to.
Right.
When we went to Scotland, that's how they do time, and we went to the Fringe Festival, and it was all in military time, and we had to sit there all the time and figure out, okay, what is 1500? What the hell is that? You know?
You have to start at noon. And like, okay, 12 o'clock.
Yes.
Every single time. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Yeah, I do all the time.
So I'm removing that as
Oh my
evidence. I think I get that one.
It might have just been a goof up.
That really isn't evidence of anything. And then it's like, I guess, all in all, it's sort of anticlimactic. I never found him.
Yep.
There's
I know.
nothing.
Never again.
But I still, man, the guy didn't wear a hat. That's not something I didn't even think about that. Until
Yeah,
you
that's-
said that's not normal.
Not
He's
normal.
got to be an alien. I'm 70-30 alien
You are.
on this one.
Mm.
We have a great alien story coming up in.
Oh, the
later in
50s
year,
is
so
like.
Oh man,
Yeah.
Alien City, baby! And
Well, you better. I might be doing some of those.
Oh,
so.
okay, I might share my research with you. Anyway, that brings us to Amy's story on Tuesday, January 17th, 1950. I understand you have something to tell us about.
Yes, I am going to talk about the Great Brinks Robbery.
Ooh.
So it's not a murder.
It's a robbery. Can you
It
guys
is.
hear? Can you guys hear Amy?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, she's gonna go blab on about a robbery that happened the same day.
Yes. So shortly before 7:30 p.m. on the evening of January 17th, 1950.
Oh wait, the same day that the U.S. Long Island University lost to North Carolina State 55-52, even though they were favored to win by 9 points in the game at New York City's Madison Square Garden. That an investigation followed that would reveal that LIU players Eddie Gard and Dick Furtado had been paid $2,000 by New York jeweler and gambler Salvatore Salazzo to engage in point shaving that same day.
Yes, that same day. A group of armed masked men emerged from 165 Prince Street in Boston, Massachusetts, dragging bags containing over $2 million in cash and securities. Ooh. These men had just committed the crime of the century, the perfect crime, the fabulous Brinks robbery, which is how they talked about it in the paper.
The fabulous Brinks robbery. That's how they said it in paper.
Yep. So at 7:27, as the robbers sped from the scene, a Brinks employee telephoned the Boston Police Department, and then minutes later, police arrived at the Brinks building, and special agents of the FBI quickly joined into the investigation. Now, I got most of this from the FBI website.
The FBI's website?
Yeah.
So just when you say telephoned, I always know that's an outdated thing. Like,
Yeah.
telephone me.
So they didn't have a lot of facts from the start.
Okay.
There was 5 employees that were confronted by the criminals that were there at the time, and they told the police that between 5 and 7 robbers had entered the building. All of them wore Navy-type pea coats, gloves, and chauffeur's caps, and each of them face was completely concealed by a Halloween mask.
Oh, creepy. They're all going, ha, see, ha.
Yep, they
This is
were.
1950.
But they didn't talk a lot.
Oh, they didn't.
No.
So they weren't saying, ah,
But
shit.
they seemed to know, like, they moved with studied precision. They seemed to know, like,
exactly where they were going.
where
like
they were
they'd been
going
there,
and everything. Yeah.
Scoped out the place. So 1950s Halloween mask.
Yeah.
I'm picturing, I don't
It's something
know.
horrific.
Really?
Oh my God. If you ever look at
The
vintage
pictures-
Halloween masks, they're so creepy looking.
Oh yeah, like they're usually like cloth,
Yeah.
like
Mm-hmm.
tied up. I'm picturing like the witch mask from Charlie Brown.
Pictures of kids, old trick-or-treating pictures are terrifying.
Yes.
Halloween
They are
masks
They
were
are.
awful.
They were, and yeah, but almost, but scary. They
Yeah,
should
they-
be
Yeah,
scary,
it
right?
worked.
So they-
It works.
but I guess when I'm looking at the pictures now of 1950, is it scary because it's old too,
Right.
Or was it? Do you think it was scary then? Like we're just like, boy, you're fucked up looking.
Well, that's all there was. So
That's all you
they
had,
didn't
so
know
they didn't know anything different.
Yeah. So
Got it.
somehow the criminals had opened at least 3 and maybe 4 locked doors to get entrance to the second floor of Brinks, where the 5 employees were checking and storing the money collected from the Brinks customers that day.
Got to be an inside job, right? Because Brinks is like...
Well, that's the question. So all 5 employees had been forced at gunpoint to lie face down on the floor. Their hands were tied behind their backs, and adhesive tape was placed over their mouths. During this operation, one of the employees had lost his glasses, and they later could not be found on the Brinks premises. So they probably took them. As the loot was being placed in bags and stacked between the second and third doors loading to the Prince Street entrance, a buzzer sounded. So the robbers removed the tape from one of the guys' mouths that was laying there, and they found out that it was just a delivery guy at the door. So they were getting ready to catch him, and then they saw him walking away.
Oh.
Because nobody answered the door. So he never suspected that there was anything going on at the time. So in addition to the general descriptions received from the employees, the investigators obtained some physical evidence. They had the rope and adhesive tape used to bind and gag the employees and the chauffeur's cap, which one of the robbers had left at the crime scene. The FBI further learned that 4 revolvers had been taken by the gang. So they had the serial numbers of the weapons, and, they noted those in case they come across them again. Then they started to scour the underworld crime people all over Boston, and then it got bigger and bigger until they were
like all the wanted list of people.
Yeah, and all of the because the FBI knows who's in the underworld, the crime people, the racketeering and all of that other stuff. They just can't prove it, so the heat was on.
Yeah. Huh. I think the FBI knows everything, don't they? Do they know everything?
I don't know.
Like, do they know
I don't
us?
think they know as much as people think they know.
I hope they at least know that I am a podcaster, because if you looked at my search history, it's always tons of murder,
possible things,
robberies. Like I'm looking up how to, this burning building. Why is he so interested in this? Mental institution fire.
He also looked up this childhood bomb making toy.
Yes.
Yes, if anyone is looking up my Amazon search history, it is for a podcast. My Google search history, it is all for a podcast. The music I listen to at the gym is all a joke. It's all for a podcast.
I recently ordered some artificial birds, and there is a reason for that makes perfect sense.
And my Pornhub search is all related to bodies.
That is also artificial birds. Same, still applies.
Artificial birds.
So the case was front page news, and they started getting all these tips coming in from anonymous people, and they contacted various resorts throughout the United States for information concerning people known to possess unusually large sums of money following, like after the robbery, to see
somebody big spender guy.
Then on February 5th, a police officer in Somerville, Massachusetts, recovered one of the 4 revolvers. And investigation established that this gun, together with another rusty revolver, had been found on February 4th by a group of boys who were playing in a sandbar. And through the interviews of people in the vicinity of the Brinks offices on the evening of January 17th, the FBI learned that a 1949 green Ford truck with a canvas top had been parked near the Prince Street door of Brinks at approximately the time of the robbery. And so it was logical that the gang might have used the truck since it was right there.
Sure.
And so then on March 4th, pieces of an identical truck were found at a dump in Stoughton, Massachusetts, maybe?
Guys, how do you pronounce it?
It's actually pronounced Stu.
Yeah.
And they had torched the truck. They had cut it up with a torch, and a sledgehammer was used to smash the motor, and they had put all the pieces in fiber bags. And
wait, so the whole truck was all in pieces?
Yes. And so
I think that's smart. Like if you've ever torn something up and put it in more than one trash can.
Yeah.
Credit cards. You cut up a credit card. 3 spots, 3 different
dead bodies.
I always swallow one piece. Yeah, dead bodies.
Yes.
Wait, I want the rusty revolver.
Yes.
Not to be confused with the rusty trombone.
Right.
Is there any kind of forensics that you do on this? Like, to figure like how long does it take a revolver to rust? Like I figured this is only a couple weeks.
Right.
Would it be that rusty that quick?
I don't know.
What were they?
Guys?
What were they made of? Were they just like iron?
Yeah, that's.
I don't know. You guys are the metal
We are,
experts.
yeah.
That's why we had you on the podcast.
Is there
for your gun metal?
in my days of
expertise.
blacksmithing?
Yeah.
I don't even think I know what rust is. I know what it is. I know like how it happens as a concept, but I do not know the reasons why rust exists in our world.
It's like a chemical reaction of some sort with the air.
Oxidizing.
water.
See, that's already more words than I would be able to use to describe it.
Yeah.
Where are we
Well,
money-wise with money that can be like? Did we have serial numbers or
Yeah,
traceable
track
like
anything?
batches
Yeah.
of?
Did we have
Traceable
ink little blots in the middle of the stacks?
No, like holding up. Yeah, I don't think.
I
that's
don't.
pretty
That
modern, I think.
that is not clear, but they did mark the money. So, but I'll get into it.
Okay,
We'll get
sorry.
into it.
Okay.
Yeah, who was on that? I mean, was George
I
Washington?
don't
already
know.
on
I
that
did
doc-
not research that. So the
I was asking these guys, our expert money guys.
money guys. So the truck found at the dump had been reported stolen by a Ford dealer near Fenway Park in Boston on November 3rd, 1949.
Oh, November 3rd, 1949.
Yes.
A date something else probably could have happened if you would have told me that date ahead of time.
I know.
And I could maybe insert here. But
Okay.
it won't be what was on Different Strokes.
But that didn't lead to anything.
That didn't lead to anything.
No. So some suspects.
Okay.
Among
Let's get
the-
to the suspects.
Among the
Like
early
everybody.
suspects was Anthony Pino, who was an immigrant, and he was a principal suspect in numerous major robberies and burglaries in Massachusetts.
Anthony Pino.
He was known in the underworld as an excellent case man and was said that the casing of the Brinks offices bore his trademark.
So when you say an excellent case man, case in the joint.
Case in the
He
joint.
knows how to case the joint.
That's right.
So I
And
know.
so he was questioned about his whereabouts that night.
Okay.
And he provided a good alibi, but it was almost too good of an alibi. He had been at his home in the Roxbury section of Boston until about 7 o'clock. Then he walked to the nearby liquor store of Joseph McGinnis. Then he engaged in a conversation with McGinnis and a Boston police officer. The officer verified the meeting. So the officer said, yeah, that happened.
Right.
The
Crooked officer.
What?
Is it a crooked officer?
I don't know. The alibi was strong, but it wasn't conclusive. The police officer said he had been talking to McGinnis first, and Pino arrived later to join them. The trip from the liquor store to Roxbury to the Brinks office could be made in about 15 minutes, so Pino could have been at McGinnis's liquor store shortly after 7:30 and still have participated in the robbery. So it's not airtight.
No.
And then
Yeah.
then there's the question of McGinnis himself, the guy that owned the liquor store.
Oh.
Commonly regarded as a dominant figure in the Boston underworld, McGinnis previously had been convicted of robbery and narcotics violations.
Oh, well, then you can't trust any of that right there. And do you think, like, seasoned robbers like this, like, as soon as you make the robbery, like, it must be a thing that you go immediately somewhere.
Yeah, so that you
and
have an
talk
alibi.
to somebody to get an alibi, like,
Yeah,
in the middle of a robbery, probably.
right, yeah.
I never thought about that.
So, and McGinnis had
I'm not that
also
smart.
left his home shortly before 7 o'clock on the night of the robbery, and met the police officer right after that.
Okay.
Neither Pino nor McGinnis was known to be the type of hoodlum who would undertake so potentially dangerous a crime without the best strong-arm support available.
Ah, yeah, see?
So, they know they needed some strong-arm guys.
Yeah.
So 2 of these suspects were Joseph James O'Keefe and Stanley Albert Gusciora.
Yeah, this has got to be a big job. I mean, it's not gonna be just one.
Well, $2 million, my God, in 1950s money.
So
If
let's see.
$87
$87 is
Yes.
930. $2 million is.
Oh my God.
It's like 10 times as much.
That's over
Yeah.
$9 billion.
Yep.
It's more money that exists
Right.
It's right.
in the world.
So O'Keefe and Gusciora reportedly had worked together on a number of occasions, and they both were in prison together and all. So they knew each other.
Yeah.
These 2 guys. O'Keefe was known to have associated with Pino as well prior to the Brinks robbery. So both of these strong-arm guys
Yeah.
had been questioned by Boston police following the robbery. Neither had too convincing an alibi. O'Keefe said he left his hotel room in Boston at about 7 o'clock on January 17th 1950. Following the robbery, authorities attempted unsuccessfully to locate him at his hotel, and he wasn't there. But he said he had been drinking in a bar in Boston, and Gusciora also said he'd been drinking that evening. And
that's not atypical, I'm sure.
Right.
For everyone.
So then 1950 goes on, and then in late 1950, both O'Keefe and Gusciora were sentenced to prison for other crimes.
Okay.
So the police started to see who was giving money to these mobsters to get them out of jail.
Okay.
Because they're all in jail for all these other things, like robberies
they
or
were
burglaries.
Watching the bails.
Yeah. And,
yes.
And so they start finding some other guys. And here's some of their names. So there was Adolf Jazz Maffei.
Yes, Adolf Jazz Maffei, y'all. He did it.
He was being pressured to contribute money for both O'Keefe and Gusciora, who are the ones in jail.
So I feel like Adolf. I'm sorry, Adolf's an unfortunate name, but call him Jazz.
Yeah, call him Jazz.
I would say call me Jazz if my name was Adolf. Okay.
And then there was Henry Baker, and he was kicking into the fund too, the defense fund.
Okay.
So Baker said that on the night in question, he had eaten dinner with his family. Then he left home at about 7 o'clock to walk around the neighborhood for about 2 hours. He said he met no one and had stopped nowhere during his walk. So he could have been doing anything between 7 and 9.
I met no one and I went nowhere.
He just took a 2-hour walk.
He was just just clearing his mind.
I love that.
Just like listening to just
like having to relax at the end of a long day. Who doesn't just want to?
Exactly.
You can't do that. You can't do that nowadays because there's a camera on every
doorbell,
every street pole, every doorbell.
Yeah, it really is kind of creepy.
Yeah, everyone can track you at any time. Like the guy with the Trump flag in our neighborhood.
Like our across the street neighbors.
Yeah.
Probably have you fallen off that ladder on her Ring doorbell.
Oh, I should ask her whatever day that was if she has a live action shot of me falling off my ladder. That really hurt.
He fell off the ladder and really scraped himself up. Like he looked like a 6-year-old that had been riding a bike.
Because the ladder was on. It wasn't just a ladder. It was
down the ladder or off of a ladder.
The whole thing went over. Like I fell over. Like the ladder was on a second level, and so the ladder fell off the first level, and I was on top of the ladder.
Oh, you were on.
So it went down to the second level, and then I fell down from that. So.
God,
jeez.
I was gonna say the guy with the Trump flag. Messaged everybody in the neighborhood on the
Next Door
app, and he was like, "Hey, somebody stole my Trump flag that says Trump 2020, no more bullshit. Did anybody see who did it on your Ring doorbells?"
Oh my God.
And so then it was like an endless stream of people's Ring doorbells posting on there.
Oh my God. Okay. Anyway, so the FBI starts to notice that everybody who has their alibi keeps saying 7 o'clock. Something happened at 7 o'clock. Like that's
everybody's alibis at the same time, so they know when it happened.
So that's when they start to piece other things together.
Okay.
So the grand jury met and they decided there wasn't enough evidence because there wasn't any witnesses and they had been in a disguise and all that. So the grand jury said we can't indict them right now.
Yeah, with all those creepy Halloween masks.
And then Pino, one of the guys, he almost gets deported because he had been illegally here, and it was a whole bunch of bullshit that I took out.
Oh, okay.
And then O'Keefe got out of prison, but then there was 3 different attempts on his life.
Really?
Yeah. So somebody's really trying to kill him.
Yes, because he's gonna talk.
So he gets.
He's gonna sing like a canary.
He gets thrown back in jail for something else, and he starts to get really pissed off that all these other guys have the money, and he's in jail, and there was all these middlemen, and there were some guys that didn't even ever go in the building when they did the robbery, so they shouldn't get as much, and like he's starting to just get real pissed while he's sitting in prison.
I mean, there's plenty of money to go around.
So he finally decides he's going to talk. So O'Keefe tells the police the whole thing. He tells them everything. So he says that it was Pino's idea but there was a combined criminal element that did the whole thing, and they started making plans in December of 1948.
Yeah.
And all the participants were casing the joint and they're surveilling from neighboring rooftops. And they went into the building and toured it several different times. And while they were in there, somehow they stole the. Oops, sorry about that.
You gotta turn your notifications off. You
Sorry.
ruin our podcast every time. Wait a minute. How do they get into the building?
They just go in there surreptitiously, kind of onto the premises. They might be dressed up like a painter, or like sneaking around.
Disguises.
Right. And so they take the lock cylinders out, and they put like fake ones in there, and they run over to the locksmith and have the guy make keys.
Oh.
And then they run back and they put the cylinders back in.
Wow.
And they didn't get caught doing that, but that's
Whoa.
how they got in through all the doors, because there was so many successive doors that they had to get in.
I would never have once thought of that.
I feel like if you
Yeah.
can do that part, then you don't need a locksmith.
Right. Yeah.
We broke into this building.
Yeah.
Right.
We can take the locks out.
Right.
Yeah.
But we can't make keys. We don't know how to do that part.
So then they stole a truck. They knew like the whole schedule, all the Brinks schedule, and who came when, and
kind of like Groundhog Day when he like times those guys.
Yeah, everything was timed down to
where
the
he
minute.
pulls the money out.
And so Costa was one of the other guys. He had a flashlight, and he was the guy that signaled the other men when the conditions were favorable to go in and do the robbery. And so they all get there, and they use their outside door key. They get in, and they put their masks on once they're inside, and then they just get up to the thing, and they bind and gag them and everything that I said at the beginning.
Yeah.
And so O'Keefe spills the whole story. And
Spills
then,
the beans.
Yep. And so then, finally, on January 11th, 1956...
Oh, the same day that... Insert random fact I might look up later. Same day that happened, guys? Can you believe that happened?
I can't believe it.
I
Who
remember.
doesn't? That classic thing.
I wondered when that happened.
So anyway, they finally filed the complaints charging, and there was 11 of them that they charged. 6 of the gang were arrested on January 12th, 1956.
Okay.
And then but the thing is, they didn't know where any of the money was.
Oh, they never
$2 million.
found any of it?
Yeah, so they ended up retrieving like 60,000 of it.
Wow.
But that was it. The rest of it is gone.
60,000 of how much million?
2 million.
2 million. What's the percentage, fellas?
Will you quit
Half.
asking them math questions?
They're doing it.
Don't even do it.
It's
Don't
half.
even do it, you guys.
It's over 50%.
Oh my God. I don't know about you, but I freeze with math.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
I
I have a
can't, like-
calculator. What's the point?
oh, I get phobic when anybody shoots me a math question. I'm not prepared for it.
How many years we've been married?
I don't know. Don't ask me math.
Good, I don't either.
All right. So
Oh,
in July of 1956, then Stanley Gusciora dies of a brain tumor, so he's dead. The rest of them go to jail. And October 5th, 1956, they were all found guilty.
they were all found guilty?
Yep, and they were all sentenced to life on October 9th, 1956.
Wow, they all got put away, so it was solved.
So it was solved.
But
yes.
only 6 people did it? They didn't catch anybody
They
else?
I don't know. It said they arrested 11 of them.
Yeah.
But they ended up indicting, I don't know. 6 of them got life.
Yeah.
And then I guess the rest of them were kind of like little guys that did shit on the side that weren't involved direct. Like maybe
Yeah.
the locksmith got some time or
Well, it
whatever.
sounds like a lot of them are in and out of jail anyway.
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah.
I mean, I love a good heist.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if
who doesn't-
if we were gonna put together a heist, what's everybody's job?
Sure.
Oh my God.
I
guess
I
I'll be
famously
the-
cannot drive or find anything.
I was just gonna
so
say that. Do not let Ryan be the
I'm
getaway.
not your getaway car.
No, I'll do the getaway car because I don't want to. I don't want to get out of the car.
You drive pretty fast and pretty recklessly.
Yeah, so I could.
Anyway,
I could do that.
I'm really bad at lying, so I can't do any kind of
you're bad at
covert
lying.
operations. I would just be like, "Hello, I am here for
Make a withdrawal.
I'm here at a bank just to be a normal citizen. Don't ask me any questions."
I think I'd like to be the lookout.
I'll
Can I be
create
the
a
lookout.
I'll create a diversion. I'm the person who like
Yeah.
oh, somebody out front fell with a wedding cake and everybody ran out to see if he was okay.
Yeah. Hey, you run in.
And the cake.
Everybody,
he had-
come quick.
Hey everybody, cake.
The cake he had landed right on his face.
Yeah.
It was like the guy from Sesame Street always trying to paint the letters, and he's always
Oh, they
painting
fall
on his
down the
own-
stairs.
Fall down the stairs.
I could be the
that cake.
I could be the plant that is interested in the cake because I wouldn't have to act.
Oh yeah.
I would genuinely be interested if someone ran in and offered me cake.
Yeah.
The cake
Definitely.
was filled with more cakes.
Yeah,
More
but
cakes.
somebody else has to case the joint. Somebody else has to plan
Yeah.
the getaway.
I think I could case a joint maybe.
You
I
have to
wouldn't know
stay
what
up
to
and
case.
just stare at it. Yeah.
Well,
what are you
casing is
casing
your.
for?
I mean, then you're just like seeing if they have a guard, seeing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
like,
when the
The
guard.
habits.
There's
When
no
they take a
there's no
break.
cameras.
I could case it if I had a checklist. I wouldn't
Yeah.
be able to case a joint if I didn't know what I was looking for because I would just be like it.
The lights are on. The lights are off.
Yeah,
When I was a kid,
this Walgreens does not stock all of the varieties of Pringles that the other Walgreens does. I think we should go to the other one. And I'd be
Chris
like,
comes back.
That's not what we were looking for.
You guys, they open at
No.
9 o'clock. Yeah, we know.
yeah, we have Google.
Yeah.
when I was a kid, my mom would always errantly accuse people of casing our house.
Did she really?
Anybody driving? Oh, they're probably casing the joint. They're probably casing our house. Find out when we're not here. It was always so. I was always worried about somebody casing the place.
That's a horrible thing to tell a young
Yeah,
child.
I don't think she realizes how often she said that. Oh, they're probably casing the place. What's that car doing out there? Oh, they're casing our house. Find out when we're not here.
Oh my
Thank you.
God.
Now go to bed, honey.
Good night.
I was terrified of being kidnapped as a child. So if somebody said that to me, I would have. I don't know what.
yeah.
Like
I
like
had in
locked
my
myself
head-
in a room.
I had the word burglar in my like head with like fear. Like that was
Yes.
to me like people
Oh,
sneaking through the
yes.
house while we were all asleep. To, like,
Well, you know, my house was robbed when I was.
While you're home?
No, it was in the middle of the night. I want to say, I gotta ask my mom. I want to say my grandparents might have been home. It was when I lived with my mom and my grandpa, and
Yeah.
they stole my grandpa's shotguns. And after
Oh.
that, I had a repeated nightmare that I was across the street at my friend's house, and I saw my mom getting out of her car across the street and starting to walk up the stairs, and I jumped down and started to run, trying to yell to her, just don't go in the house. There's people in there. There's bad guys in there, and I couldn't talk.
Oh.
Nothing would come out of my mouth, which is probably just like sleep paralysis.
I think you have that dream a lot.
I know. I
You're
do.
always yelling stuff.
But that's how much it affects you. If you're robbed when you're like little, or
Yeah. Shit.
it takes away your feeling of
That beats my story
security.
of not being robbed with my mom.
Just
accusing
threatening.
everybody.
Wait till you hear this thing that didn't happen.
Right?
Top that.
Yes.
I know. That's like one person saying, my mom used to always say she'd give us up if we wouldn't stop being so bad. And then the other person says, thanks, my mom did give me
My
up.
mom did give me up for adoption when I was 12.
My mom gave me up. She left me at the firehouse. Dang.
Well, this was good. This was fun. You guys were fun to have on here. Did you guys have fun?
Yeah.
so much
Thanks
fun.
for having us.
Oh,
Are you guys mad or offended or anything?
No, it's cool to see your setup, to see like
Are
how
we
you
mad
guys
or
record it.
offended or anything about what?
I don't know. You
Or
gotta
are
be
you
offended
guys?
about
Are you
something.
trying? Are you trying to like? Is this like a?
We were trying
you
to meet to you
provoking me?
guys.
Yeah.
We were trying to
Where
meet
it's
to
like,
you.
Sure, you're just like.
We
are
prefer
you
to
guys
live in
so
the present.
steamed? Are you guys just
Yeah.
miffed?
I
I'm
have to
gonna
keep- I have to
cry.
keep- Yeah. No, we had fun. We were just saying because we had to take a break, and the listeners won't even know there was a break. It'll be seamless with my editing.
No, I turned
course.
I turned my ringer on and I took a little nap.
Yeah, and then he didn't wake up.
Nice.
when the ringer went off.
Did you really?
Yeah, I am.
That's
you're-
good.
That's
what you're
perfect.
seeing and hearing now is me at my freshest.
Really refreshed.
You're like a summer's eve. You're so fresh.
Yeah.
I might have to work in a part where I say, no, time for a break. Yeah, if you got also, yeah, okay. Well, this was great. Thank you guys for being here. I was going to just jump into small talk, but I figure
Yeah.
we can end the episode and
Right.
then we can talk to them not
Right.
on audio. But thank you guys for being here, Ryan and Chris. Let's hear it for Ryan and Chris from the Music Video Podcast.
Yay.
That is the name of our show.
Yeah, you can find it
Yay,
on iTunes
thank you guys.
or Spotify or the places that you find American Timelines.
All of the places.
Yeah,
If you
it's
know how to listen
everywhere.
to this podcast, you can figure out how to listen to that one.
Yeah.
And I meant to
Exact
mention
same.
this earlier when we introed you guys, and I think I forgot to say it, or maybe I said it. Anyway, if I didn't, I like listening to their podcast with a computer in front of me so I can watch the video while they talk about it,
Yes.
because it makes it way more. It's
That's
like,
definitely the way
it's
to
like
do it.
my
picture pages.
fantasy
It's
of how people would do it, but I
That's-
think you're the only
Yeah,
one.
that is
oh
really
man,
extra credit.
I
but
love doing that.
I appreciate it.
In fact, the first episode I think was Mariah Carey, wasn't
that was the most involved. That's the most
That's
homework.
correct.
Yeah. it? It was like
Of course.
really, yeah. So I think I listened to that one twice because I listened to it in my car and I was like, I gotta watch these videos. And then I was watching them and I couldn't remember what you said, so I listened to it all over
Yeah.
again. Well, it was great. It's very great. It's like picture pages,
Well, we'll eventually
which we can't mention anymore.
We'll eventually have
Yeah.
you guys on. You each have a specialty that I know of, so we'll circle back for sure.
Oh, that would be
Yes.
fun.
Yes, we would love to be on. So thank you guys for being here. This is episode 100 and something of American Timelines, our first episode of our new season.
That's right.
Tweet us at History for Jerks. Hit us up on Instagram. Give us all your hate mail. Even you, Brent Nelson, who hates us.
5 stars.
Yeah, give us 100 stars on everything or whatever. I don't think iTunes you have to do that anymore. Maybe you do.
If they give you the maximum rating, then it's easier to find you. I think.
Oh, is that right?
I think
Makes
that's.
it
I think
more-
that's why it's good.
That's why we want people to do it. But I was hearing like Spotify might be the. I don't know. It seems like it's competing now. They're buying a bunch of. Who knows?
I don't know.
Whatever. Listen to us wherever you want. Thank you for listening. Take care, everyone.
Time to get out of here, Chuck.
Ryan, Chris, you want to say anything?
Follow us on Music Video Podcast at Music Video Pod.
On Instagram.
On the Instagrams.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
And Lincoln, what?
Wear
Logan,
wear
what's
your
improv?
masks.
Wear your masks.
Wear your
please.
masks,
Oh, yes.
please. We would like to perform again in this lifetime somewhere.
Oh my God, I
Drink
know.
8 glasses of water a day. The human body is 100% water.
Over 100. So,
Time to get out of here, Chuck Berry.
Time to get out of here, Chuck Berry.
Thank you, guys. All right.
Oh, my child, it's about to get wild. Have you been down on the streets today? Say, yeah, now, baby, it's about to get crazy. Everybody's got something to say.
American Timelines is a member of the Queen City Podcast Network, powered by Ortho Carolina. Find out more at queencitypodcastnetwork.com.
Let these ladies buy a vibrator and get a job.